Archangel says, finding the clue to the treasure is easy, but the real challenge is walking the path where every turn is a test. Today, the second chapter of the story begins, a journey filled with dangers at every step, where every hint takes you closer to the treasure. The old man and the first clue. Archangel says, in every person's life, there comes a moment when they stumble upon a secret so powerful it changes their life forever. Today, you are about to meet an old man who has seen with his own eyes what others have only heard in legends. He will tell you the secret of an ancient treasure. But beware, this tale is as mysterious as it is ancient. The sun was about to set. The sky was painted with shades of red and orange. I was walking along a dusty trail in an abandoned village. The place felt frozen in time. Crumbling walls, ruined houses, and the rustle of dry leaves falling from old trees. It was as if time itself had stopped here. People had already warned me, don't spend the night in that village. There's an old man there who speaks strange things. But curiosity burned inside me. I want to know who this man was and why he was so mysterious. When I reached the heart of the village, I saw a massive ancient tree. Beneath it sat the old man, a long white beard, bent shoulders, ragged clothes, and eyes that glowed with a strange brilliance. He looked at me, and without a word, gestured for me to come closer. His voice was soft, yet carried a deep weight. You have finally arrived, child. I knew you would. Startled, I asked, how do you know me? I've never seen you before. The old man smiled and said, you didn't need to see me. I knew. One day someone would come seeking the truth. A truth buried for centuries. A treasure that those who sought it never returned to tell the tale. Curiosity tightened its grip on me. I gathered courage and asked, what treasure? Where is it hidden? The old man's eyes gleamed. He took a deep breath and said, this treasure is not a chest of gold and silver, but it holds the power to turn a man into a king. Men lost their minds chasing it. Some lost their lives, others vanished forever. But today, I will tell you this secret. He glanced around, as if making sure no one was listening. Then he leaned closer and whispered, centuries ago, when kings ruled this land, one king hid his kingdom's most precious possession. It was so priceless, he had to protect it even from his enemies. And since then, this treasure has been sleeping beneath the earth. I was completely drawn into the tale. I asked, can you tell me where it is? The old man smiled. Not directly, but I can give you the first clue. He opened a worn-out pouch hanging from his neck. From it, he pulled out a piece of paper. It was half torn, stained with dust and age, a fragment of a map. This is the first clue. Half of this map is with me. The other half was lost centuries ago. But if you can find it, you'll be one step closer to the treasure. I looked at the fragment. It showed strange markings, a hill, a river, and at the center, an ancient temple. But the map was incomplete. I asked, if it's incomplete, where do I find the other half? The old man's voice grew heavier. The other half lies with the descendants of those who once set out to find it. They still guard it with their lives. But remember, child, this journey requires more than a map. Courage, faith, and wisdom will be your true weapons. I gripped the map tightly in my hand. My heartbeat quickened. This was no ordinary story. This was real. The old man looked into my eyes one last time and said, today I've given you the first clue, but this is only the beginning. The true journey starts now, and every step will test you. He raised his finger to the sky and declared, everyone desires treasure, but only the one who understands its worth truly deserves it. His words sent chills down my spine. I wondered, was I truly ready for this journey? But the half-torn map in my hand left me no choice. It showed a river, a hill, and a temple. I had decided I would follow this path no matter what. The next morning, guided by the map, I left the village. The silence was so deep, even the rustle of leaves felt like a warning. After some time, I reached the dry bed of a river. This was the first mark on the map. Though the river had long dried, large rocks along the bank bore strange carvings. It was as if someone had deliberately struck them with a sword, leaving markings that pointed in a direction. I followed them, and thus began my real journey. As I ventured deeper, the forest grew dense. The wind whispering through the trees sounded almost sinister. After a while, the ground gave way beneath me, revealing the entrance of a dark cave. On the map, the hill drawn was in fact this place. My heart pounded, but I stepped inside. Pitch black engulfed me. I lit a torch and moved forward. Suddenly, I noticed strange writings carved into the walls. Ancient symbols and forgotten script. I was still trying to decipher them when the old man's voice echoed behind me. Remember, child, the first trial of the treasure is this: overcoming fear. If fear stops you, your journey ends here. A shiver ran through me, but I gripped the torch tightly and pressed on. The cave whispered with eerie sounds. Shadows darted across the walls. Every instinct screamed run, but holding the map close, I kept moving. And then another passage opened, revealing a strange carving on the wall. The carving showed three things: a sun, a serpent, and an ancient temple. I froze. What did this mean? The old man's voice returned. This is your second clue. When the sun sets and the shadow of the serpent falls upon the temple's doorway, then the true path will be revealed. A chill raced down my spine. It meant I had to reach the temple shown on the map. But the path ahead was only growing more dangerous. I left the cave and pressed toward the temple. After hours of walking, I stumbled upon an abandoned mansion. Its gates bore strange symbols. The moment I stepped inside, the air shifted. Cold winds whispered in my ears, as if calling my name. Suddenly, I found myself standing before a door. On it was written, "He who seeks the treasure must first face his truth." The door opened on its own, revealing a dark room with only a mirror inside. I looked into it, but it wasn't my reflection staring back. It was my fears, my weaknesses, my failures. That's when I realized this was the second trial, facing the truth. If I denied my flaws, I would be trapped here forever. I gathered courage, looked in my reflection, and said, "Yes, these are my weaknesses, but I will overcome them and move forward." The mirror shattered instantly. The path cleared, and now the road to the temple lay before me. After a long and exhausting journey, I finally reached the place marked on the map. The temple, half in ruins, but its walls still bore strange symbols. It was evening. The sun was setting. I carefully observed the doorway. And then it happened. The shadow of the carved serpent fell exactly on the threshold. My heart thundered in my chest. As the shadow touched the doorway, the ground trembled. A hidden passage opened beneath the temple. I lit my torch and stepped down. A staircase led into the depths below. Each step drew me into darkness deeper than before. And then I stood in a place untouched for centuries. It was a vast underground hall. Ancient paintings covered the walls, and at the center stood a massive stone chest. I approached cautiously. The same symbols from the cave and the map were etched upon it. I reached out to touch it, but suddenly the old man's voice thundered once again. Stop! Not yet. You have passed 2 trials, but the final test still awaits. To claim the real treasure, you must face the 3rd trial. My heart froze. What was this last test? Was the chest truly holding the treasure? Or was it yet another trap in the maze of mysteries? Before me stood a secret buried for centuries. And now I had to decide, was I ready for the final trial? Friends, this was the 2nd chapter of the treasure hunt. From the first fragment of the map to the cave, the mansion, and the temple. But now the greatest question lies ahead. What is the 3rd and final trial? And what truly lies inside that chest? To know that, you must wait for the next and final part, where the real secret of the treasure will be revealed. Archangel says, every journey must come to an end, but the end of a treasure hunt often becomes the beginning of something new. Today you will learn the truth, a truth buried for centuries. The treasure for which many vanished without a trace. The treasure powerful enough to change a person's destiny. I stood before the massive stone chest. Its surface shimmered with mysterious symbols. My heart pounded so fast I could hear my own breath. Suddenly, the old man's voice echoed from behind. Remember, child, this is your final trial. Only if you succeed now will you reach the real treasure. My voice trembled as I asked, what was the final test? The old man slowly stepped forward. A strange light glimmered in his eyes. He said, this is the 3rd trial, mastering your greed. What lies inside this chest will be revealed before you. But if you see it only as a way to fill your coffers, the treasure will never be yours. His words made me restless. What could possibly be inside this chest that had remained a secret for centuries? The old man pulled out a key from his pouch. Not golden, but rusty and made of iron. He slid into the lock and turned it slowly. With a heavy, grinding sound, the chest creaked open. I raised my torch and peered inside. My breath stopped. There was no gold, no silver, no sparkling jewels. Instead, inside lay ancient manuscripts, stone tablets, and copper scrolls inscribed with strange writings. I was stunned. I stammered, This is the treasure? But these are just old papers." The old man smiled. His voice resounded through the chamber. "This, my child, is the true treasure, the treasure of knowledge." The old man lifted one of the scrolls and explained. Centuries ago, a king realized that real power did not lie in gold or silver, but in knowledge. He recorded everything: his kingdom's experiences, strategies of war, formulas of science, secrets of medicine, and wisdom about life, into these scrolls. But he feared that if enemies ever found them, they would misuse this power. So he hid them. I was speechless. Could it be true that this was the secret knowledge of a king? The old man nodded. "Yes, child. This is the treasure countless people sought. But those who mistook it for mere riches never returned. For this treasure reveals itself only to those who can truly understand it." He placed one copper scroll in my hands. On it was written, "Time is the greatest wealth. Whoever loses it loses everything." My eyes opened wide. These words were worth far more than any pile of gold or silver. I asked the old man, "So, does this mean there never was any gold or silver treasure?" The old man chuckled. "There was, child, but all of it turned to dust. For time devours everything. But knowledge never perishes. That is why, even after centuries, this treasure remains intact." He looked at me, and said, "Now this treasure is yours. But remember, the more you share it, the more it grows. If you try to hoard it, it will destroy you." I stood silent. Before me lay the truth that changed my life forever. Treasure did not mean gold or silver. It meant wisdom, the value of time, and the wealth of experience. The old man looked into my eyes one last time and said, "Child, my duty is fulfilled. For centuries, I have been the guardian of this treasure. From today, you are its keeper." Saying this, he slowly closed his eyes. A peaceful smile lingered on his face, and I stood in that dark chamber, torchlight flickering, holding the real secret of the treasure. Friends, this was the final chapter of the treasure hunt. But now the real question is for you. Have you understood what the true treasure is? Gold and silver turn to dust, but knowledge, the value of time, and the lessons of experience, this is the wealth that never fades. The old man taught me this, and today I share this treasure with you. Remember, do not waste time, never stop learning, and always pass on your experiences to others, because this is the real treasure, and this is humanity's greatest wealth. So friends, this was the tale of the centuries-old treasure, the story of an old man that changed my life. Now the question is, will you protect this treasure, or will you let it slip away? If this story touched your heart, give this video a like and share it. And tell me in the comments, for you, what is the real treasure?